Wet.
Or wet.
Wet.
You guys have the wet weather up there?
I mean,
we get
today...
some water up here.
Today, well, I think it only just started raining today, but the other day there was some flash flooding in Fargo.
Oh yeah, when
That was a little wild.
driving over the river home for Mother's Day, it was like, oh, that's concerning.
Why is this bridge still open? The water is like just barely clearing under that bridge.
Water under the bridge. I mean, it barely fits.
Better
but
not
it's
be water over the bridge.
Hmm.
Water through the bridge.
Because, yeah, they still have the 12th Avenue Bridge open.
Yikes.
And it's very much flooded. What's interesting is that the snow melt had nothing to do with the high water this time around. We just got
It was just tons of rain.
tons of rain, yeah.
Yep.
So it doesn't show signs of slowing down either. I think we're supposed to get a thunderstorm tonight and then again on Friday.
Oh, lovely.
But it's been warmer. Like I think it hit 71, 72 up here today. So
Yeah, it's
feels
been,
nice.
It's been quite gorgeous the last couple days down here. Got a little hot today. It was I think it was in the low 80s.
sure.
Oh wow.
So
But altogether, fairly pleasant spring weather overall.
Yeah.
just not as fun when you've got to move things to your car and all that jazz.
Yeah.
That makes 80-degree heat kind of suck, doesn't it?
That's just how it be.
Mm-hmm. So what's the timeline looking like for the move then?
I am gonna be leaving on Sunday after Mass, and then be back in Fargo sometime Monday afternoon, evening-ish.
Cool. And then how long are you going to be up here then?
I'll be in town for a couple days until Wednesday. Then I'm heading up to Greenbush. We have a rehearsal for my diocesan brother's coming ordination. Excited.
Ooh.
He's being ordained to the diaconate.
Which one's that?
John Willebski.
Ah, okay,
Shout
very
outs to
cool.
you, John, we know you're listening.
Mhm. No, John does not listen. He knows that this thing exists, but it is not really in his interest pool, so...
Understandable.
Fair enough. Is he one of the guys that was at the St. Joe's Men's House for a while or no?
I'm sure he was been there for the past 3 summers, so...
Okay. So I probably met him then. If it's the guy I'm thinking of. But yeah.
I would say short, but that doesn't narrow it down.
No.
Everyone but
Particularly.
me is short.
Yeah. But yeah, that'll be pretty cool. Let's see. When's so is the ordination kind of the beginning
On
of June?
Saturday,
Oh, okay.
the 21st of May. So we're rehearsing on Thursday, hanging out on Friday, and then ordination Saturday morning.
Very cool.
Nice.
So I'll be heading out of town Thursday morning.
When was the last transitional diaconate or priestly ordination in person?
The last priestly ordination we had was 2019.
Okay, so about 3
It's
years.
3 years.
Not too shabby.
We could be doing better about it.
Right.
We're okay for now, but the next 10 years are the primary issue.
Mm-hmm.
Is half of our presbyterate is over 60.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
It's gonna be
It'll be certainly a time.
We'll get a handful of guys in there in the next 10 years, but right now we're not replacing as many as we're losing.
yeah.
So
Which
it'll
so
be
pray for
it'll be
vocations.
fun. Pray for vocations.
Mm-hmm.
If our seminarian pool continues to grow at the rate it has, we might be all right, you know.
And who knows? Perhaps the new bishop will inspire a new wave of young priests.
Perhaps.
Time will tell.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of cool. He gets to do his first ordinations in this diocese. So
Yep.
Speaking of which, I also saw him do a confirmation last
yeah.
weekend.
Joan
My
got
younger
confirmed.
sister Joan got confirmed, so that was very cool.
Had you met him
Mhm.
prior to that?
I had not met him prior to that. But
Have
yeah,
you guys seen the new priest assignments for the diocese yet?
We got word that our Father David is being replaced, which is one part sad and one part interesting to see who will come next.
Slash one part scary because I think he first came to Sacred Heart when I was leaving for college.
Yeah, just
And I
about,
was
I
like,
guess.
Has it been 6 years?
7,
Almost 7. Holy crap.
because that's the typical rotation period of priests, as I understand, is 7
Yeah.
years.
Well, 6 years is the rough length of a term.
Ah,
So you could have
Add an
as
extra
many
half year on
as
either
many
side for-
terms as a bishop decides he wants you to have.
sure.
So your new pastor will be Father Adam Hamness in
Yes.
Frazee.
I'm told he's the only priest in the Crookston Diocese who knows the extraordinary form.
I plead the fifth.
But apparently, my mom goes to daily mass over there pretty often, and there's a number of people there who would be interested in the extraordinary form. Which
Too bad Traditionis Custodes is a thing. So,
True. Yeah.
unlikely to see that anytime in the near future, but
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about
Father
that.
Hamness is a rather traditional fellow, so anything approaching that direction that the people would like, he'll probably do it. So
That'd be pretty interesting to see.
and I'm getting a new pastor as well.
Oh yeah, at St. Francis.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
When was the last time that happened?
5 years.
5 years. Oh, okay.
okay.
Who's going over there?
Father Machio
Okay.
Mascarenhas. He was the parochial vicar at East Grand for a little bit,
Okay.
and he's currently the pastor in Halleck.
Okay.
Mhm.
Say I give Devin a new priest to work with. That'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I should probably check in with Devin. It's been a
Mhm.
hot minute.
I mean, it's only been since the last night's meeting, right?
He wasn't there last
Oh, he
time.
wasn't there last time.
A shock of shocks. Devin didn't show up to a night's meeting.
Parley Pro was all over the place.
It was though. What is it? What have things come to?
Uh,
I mean, it was the last meeting of the year, and we did have a bunch of guys from like Supreme Council come down, which I was not expecting.
pleasantly surprised. It's like, oh, neat. They care.
Yeah, so they don't just care about the dues.
Yeah, at this time of year, everybody's checked out of everything.
Yeah,
On
Yeah.
yesterday, there were 0 formation staff at evening prayer.
well,
Oh,
Like even they're checked out. Like we get a reasonable pass to be checked out as well.
dang.
well, I'm down to one final as of today, and as of the uploading time, I will have finished all of my things. Well, if all goes well over the course of the next
Son of a
couple of days.
Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering.
Indeed.
That's what they sound like when they give you the diploma.
I won't know because I haven't signed up to walk because I kind of don't care. I've
That-
already walked in a circle wearing a dress once.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's not like super exciting.
Maybe I would have if it was something mom required and wanted to take pictures of, but I'm like, I don't care, and if you care that I don't care, then that's fine.
Yeah, particularly the
It's,
spring commencement
A
ceremony. is quite long.
3-hour ordeal. So
Yeah, there's that too.
see, I would always do them because I got paid to do them because I was in band.
Yep, that's right, because you had in
yes.
marching band.
So I would play and sit on my phone in the band section where no one was looking at you. And then when it was my time to walk, I threw on my regalia and went to my chair and walked. So,
Good way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
and my graduation on Saturday from here will be, like 20 people. So
Yeah.
not too bad of an ordeal at all.
Huh. Yeah, I was lucky that I did mine during the winter because that's typically quite a lot shorter.
It's a much smaller ceremony, yes.
It's in a much smaller
It's
building.
more typical. You start in the fall and end in the spring.
Yeah. Yep. So, any major plans right out the gate for being done with college?
Job hunt.
Yeah, that.
That's like the plan. But aside from
Where
that,
are jobs at?
and of course, also asking where other things and people are at.
Where the women at?
I wasn't going to say that exactly, but I'm not going to argue
We're all
against
thinking
it
it.
either.
We're all thinking it.
I know, and I thought thinking it was enough, and in fact, the implication would have been more fun.
I've been out of school for 2.5 years, and I still haven't figured out the answer to that question, so don't feel too bad.
Maybe if we put our heads together.
Yeah, we can find something.
We'll think of something. Aside from that, just actually take time for myself, like actually draw, actually play music, sit down and play a longer video game.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been
What was the
playing.
last major game you finished? Because you've been kind of plucking away at Banjo-Kazooie, but
Yeah, now
was
that
like
we have our
before that.
also Fire and Ice.
Yep, Fire and
But,
Ice.
the biggest game that I sat down and played was probably Control. It was Control.
Oh, yeah. So around,
So it would have been earlier, January, February.
yeah, thereabouts.
Control's a shorter game, too.
Right.
So it's not like a huge commitment or anything.
You can put into it quite a lot if you want to.
Oh, you
Just don't
certainly
need to.
can.
I think Nathan has made available his copy of Twilight Princess, so my thinking is if we get to some sort of recording / streaming thing, perhaps trying that out. Because
That would be fun.
we've probably talked about this in the podcast before, but we have an HD adapter for the
GameCube.
now, so we can get some decent footage. So stay tuned for
Also,
that.
it might be fun to go cruise into the local used game shops, pick up a couple $5
Oh, yeah.
licensed games just
Yeah.
to see if they're any good.
Borrow John and Faith's copy of Flushed Away for the GameCube.
We also need to watch that movie with you because you haven't seen it.
That's
It's
true.
kind of fun.
Bryant has the GameCube licensed Narnia game. So we'll have to give that a try.
It's also 2-player.
Oh, there we go.
I think it is. Similarly, I would actually like to track down a copy of the Return of the King for GameCube because
Nice.
Oh, those are fun.
yeah, and that one's the one that's 2-player. So
My brother Andre bought a PS1 at a thrift store, but he has no games for it. And it looks to be a perfectly good PS1.
I have a copy of the original Spyro.
Ooh.
If you would like to borrow
those
it.
are on my list.
He's got 2 controllers for it, too. It's not forward compatible with the
2
with the
No.
PlayStation 2, is it? With the
No.
controllers? No.
Why would it be
Controllers?
forward compatible?
I mean, the controllers, I
The-
mean.
I don't
Like, they
think
wouldn't
the
have
PlayStation
invented
2
the
is
controller.
backwards compatible with the controllers.
Yes.
I see.
Forward
Also-
compatibility. You can't. Forward compatibility is not.
Well,
a thing.
right, yeah.
Except by accident.
That's true. Or by design, I suppose. If you were planning on it.
Then it's not
Something.
forward.
And it's just compatible.
It's just compatible.
We let's see what else has been going on around here. We had a friend come stay a few days ostensibly to get some of the stuff from here from when he used to live here. Instead, he ended up leaving more stuff here, as in a Xbox Series S.
And which also has Game Pass still paid for on it, so that's where I've been.
He's
playing
like, you guys can go
Banjo-Kazooie."
ahead and use this thing because I'm not using it. So Bryant played the new Halo Infinite campaign, which I kind of want to try as well. Nathan's been playing Banjo-Kazooie because they've got, what was it, Rare Play? on there?
Rare Replay, yeah.
Rare Replay. So there's some of that going on. Although I'm finding myself more and more reluctant to pick something up because the weather's finally getting nice.
Right.
It's alarming how, even though the daylight's getting longer, I still, I get home from work, I eat dinner, I do a thing, and holy crap, it's already time to go to bed. Because that's how life be right now.
Tell you what, I'm starting to not care if we can get people over. I just kind of want to open the grill up and make some brats or something.
Well, we'll be having siblings over this weekend.
Oh, we will, won't we? We can make brats for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we can get other people, that'll be a bonus.
It'll be fun. Maybe burn something. It's plenty wet. Don't have to worry about any sort of fire hazards or anything like that.
Smokey won't get mad at us.
No. Only you. Only you.
Only you can prevent in-town fires.
You can stop forest fires.
It's like those pictures of forest fires, and then Smokey Bear's just like, you had one job. One job.
Speaking of only you,
what
we're talking about today does not have only you.
Oh.
No. We're the Palladium Papists. I'm James.
I'm Nathan.
And I'm Riley.
And we're getting super serial this week, aren't we?
Super serial about Moon Knight.
One day, 3 lads from North Dakota were bitten by a radioactive television, and with their powers combined, they are super serial!
Yes. Super Serial, the show where we get super serious about serialized content.
As I understand, Riley, you just finished Moon
I
Knight.
literally just finished watching it
So we'll
like
get some, raw
30 seconds
first
before I hopped on the
impressions.
recording.
And Nathan and I only finished.
Post-credit scenes, too?
Post-credit. I watched the one on the 6th episode.
Okay,
I haven't looked at any of the others.
I don't think
if
any
there
of the
are
other
any.
ones did. At least they shouldn't. I don't know what they would have been.
Yeah. We just finished it last week, so it's pretty well synchronized for the most part.
Yeah. So, Moon Knight. We open the series up with meeting one Stephen Grant. He is a lovely little chap who has a British accent and lives in
He's a
England.
British Oscar Isaac.
Right.
and he works at the gift shop in the museum. He's kind of a
A
history
museum
buff.
on Egyptology.
Yes, he's kind of an Egyptology buff. He knows his Egyptian
knows
gods.
his stuff.
He knows his stuff. But he's still working in the gift shop and kind of wants to do tours and stuff, but isn't allowed to or whatever. Anyway, he also has some issues. He has sleepwalking issues
Of
where
a sort.
he doesn't trust himself going to sleep. He'll tie his ankle to his bed with the handcuff or whatever, and
Put sand around his bed to see
if there's been any
if he's moved in
footsteps.
he's moved in his sleep.
So he's got issues like that. He'll wake up in random places and not know how he got there and have to come home, all tired and stuff.
Yep.
So that's his current situation. So he's kind of just living his life. He apparently asked a girl out to a date at a steakhouse, even though he's vegan, that kind of a
And
thing.
he has no memory of it whatsoever. You know, he calls his mom, but she never picks up.
Yeah. So anyway, one day when he's, asleep, he wakes up in the middle of a field in I don't know where he is, Sweden or something.
Like Austria or
Austria?
Switzerland or something like that.
Yeah. Just somewhere completely different, being chased by a bunch of rather mean-looking fellows.
And he's got this golden beetle looking thing in his pocket for some reason.
So he runs away from the guys and goes into the town square, kind of trying to hide from them. And into the town square walks, what's the guy's name?
Harrow?
Harrow, yes. He's kind of this holy man, zealot, worshiper of Amet, the Egyptian god.
Or
And
is it
he's
goddess? Or is it goddess? I think it might be
Goddess.
Goddess, technically.
What is she the goddess of again?
I don't know. You can look it up while I continue to summarize.
Yeah, I'll do that.
So while he audibly looks it up, he's like, "Hey, I'm leading this cult of people to bring Amet's judgment upon the earth because she's been
Justice and
sealed away
stuff.
for too long. Justice and stuff. Other people judge you after you've committed your evils. Amet looks into your soul and into your future and sees what you're gonna do, and then judges you for that. And I think that's way more efficient." And also, then they notice Steven standing around. And he's like, "Hello, I'm Steven, I guess. I got lost." And he's like, "Oh, we were just chasing you, by the way." He's like, "I don't know what you were. You weren't chasing me. I'm just trying to go home." He's like, "You have the beetle. Can I have the beetle?" And he's like, "I want to give it to you, but my hand is physically retracting, and
Give me the scarab.
and the spooky voice in my head is telling me no."
Give me the slab. or suffer the consequences.
So anyway, the cultist guys jump him. Steven blacks out and wakes up where everybody's been beaten up. So he gets in the car and tries to drive away. There are several more instances during this chase where he blacks out and wakes up in a different position than he blacked out in. And he's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, he eventually, through this whole ordeal, makes it back to his home. Like, that was the wackiest dream I've ever had. Turns out it wasn't a dream. He's been gone the entire weekend and missed his date with that one lady.
It's Sunday, and he thought it was Thursday or something like that.
Right. So anyway, he goes back to work the next day, and he's like, hey, I'm being followed by both the vision of a large skeletal birdman as well as by the this cultist guy who's followed me for this beetle.
And apparently has a lot of secret followers.
Just like all over the place. So they corner him in the museum, and cultist guy's all like, "Oh, I know it's hard being the avatar of a god and stuff, but the voice inside your head, you've heard the voice, right?" And he's like, "Yes, there have been voices, but shut up, you're weirding me out."
I'm running away.
And he's like, "Okay, you run away. I'm gonna send an invisible jackal after you. Good luck with that." So, cornered in the bathroom, Stephen Grant is kind of scared. He looks in the mirror and his reflection starts talking to him. This is a thing that's been happening throughout the episode. He's like, "Hi, I'm can I get control? Can you let go and let me
Give me the body.
Here?
Give me the body.
Give me the body." Anyway, so he painted into this desperate corner. He gives his control over to this second character in his head, Mark Spector, who then becomes Moon Knight. Beats up.
He summons the suit.
Yeah, he summons the suit of Moon Knight, beats up the jackal, and leaves and goes home. So Steven is thoroughly and utterly freaked out by this. Like, I have another voice in my head, and I have also, apparently, there's this Egyptian god bossing him around, named Khonshu. Khonshu is the Egyptian god of the moon. He's also like protector of the night and such. He's got his Moon Knight as his avatar to enact justice on and to
those would harm the travelers of the night.
Indeed. But Stephen's still very freaked out, so he uses like some of the evidence hidden in his apartment to find the like
there's
storage
like a burner
locker.
Phone.
That's in. Yeah, there's also a burner phone which has altogether too many calls from a woman named Layla. So he follows like there's like a key in his apartment hidden somewhere that goes to a locker rent a space thing, which inside this rental unit there's just an entire little apartment with a cot and stuff in there. There's a
bag full of guns
and alternate
passports
and stuff. And he's like, "So what is all this?" And Mark's like, "Yeah, I'm a mercenary, internationally wanted guy, but don't mess with this because you'll just get in trouble. Can I just take control of the body and deal with all the stuff?"
He's like, "Oh, this is a gun. Do you kill people?" "No, I'm not letting you have control."
Ew, gross. Then Layla shows up and he's like, "Hi, husband. Let's
You what?
let's go for a drive and figure out what's going on." And Steven's like, I'm not married, but
I don't know
go
who
to
you
my
are.
apartment and stuff, and you're rather pretty." But
And she's like, "Quit the act. What's going on? What are you hiding from me? You always hide things from me. You always do this."
that's why you left, and you didn't tell me where you were going for like years and years. And he's like, "I'm sorry, I wouldn't have done that because you're a lovely woman, but I don't know you." And Steven's like, "No, it's not Steven. Mark is all like, "Get rid of her. You can't involve her. She's gonna get hurt."
Then the cops show up.
Then the cops show up, which aren't actually cops. They're like
Amit
followers.
cops.
They're Amit cops.
Yeah, they're followers of Amit and crap.
Yeah, I know. You just said his name earlier.
Harrow.
Harrow. Thank you.
Anyway, so after getting cornered by the cops, they actually get taken to Harrow and his little
Cult
community.
village.
Community.
Yeah. See, everything's so peaceful here. All these people are judged by Amit, and they're fine. So, we're not so bad, you and I. We're not so different. We're not so bad.
We're not,
Also, give me the thing, or I will kill you and everything you love.
Give me the beetle.
it's like that.
Give me
This
the
means.
Give me the scarab.
And Conchu's like in the
Break his
background.
windpipe.
Fight. But Steven's like, you know what? This whole killing people before they have the chance to do anything wrong, that's not cool. Like, you're going to end up killing, children, and I'm not cool with that. And just people in general. I don't like killing. Can we not with the killing?
So it's like, you're his avatar. Oh, yeah, right. Like blue people? No. Oh, right. Yeah, anime.
Listen to me, Steve.
Then Layla arrives to help bust him out of his captivity.
Which she does help him out, but they lose the scarab in the scuffle. Steven gets to summon the suit, and instead of the cool hooded like mummy suit, it's literally just a tux with a mask, which is very fun.
And Steven doesn't really know how to manage the suit or the powers or anything.
No.
So,
but he fumbles along and manages to defeat one of the jackals with a little bit of help from Steven. He eventually turns over his control.
Yep.
And Steven goes to. Anyway, so after losing the beetle,
Which, as it turns out, is a compass to the tomb in which the key to freeing Amit from her imprisonment by the other gods is hidden.
right.
Which is what Harrow was after.
Yeah, Conchu and Mark have a bit of a sit down after the whole thing, and he's like, okay, Mark, I need you to hold up your end of the deal. You can't let Steven make a mess of things because he's being annoying.
Or
Also,
I'll make Layla my avatar.
It's like, no, you can't do that to Layla. She's I don't like that idea.
She's mine. Stop it.
She's my girlfriend. Don't do that. If I
Wife.
die, wife. Well,
Yeah.
Anyway. Anyway, so they have a bit of a back and forth, and you can tell there's conflict between Mark and Conchu, but Mark's kind of been shanghaied into this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Steven eventually regains control, I think, and then him and Layla start going on adventures.
Well, no,
to try and-
from this point,
right, they go to
they
Egypt.
go to Egypt, yep.
Because that's where Amit's tomb is being looked for.
Mm-hmm.
So Mark is in control for most of the episode, right?
Yep.
He meets up with some of the cultist dudes, and they have a fight in Egypt while he's trying to track their position, right?
And then Mark/Steven both go unconscious and beat the crap out of these thugs. And they're like, "Did you do that? I didn't do that.
Did you do that? I don't know.
I didn't do that." They're trying to track down Harrow and where the tomb might be without the scarab.
Right.
So they meet this sort of like antiques or like antiquities broker.
Yeah.
And
You get a
fight
clue
with his
because
goons.
He's got like he's got like a Egyptian pharaoh tomb, like a sarcophagus that apparently has a clue to Amit's tomb or something. But then the cultists show up, and there's a big fight and stuff.
And like, oh look, a star map. Let's go into the desert where these stars would line up. And like, oh shoot,
Turns out
this
the
was
stars
several
drifted
thousand years
slightly.
ago.
stars shift over time. And Conchu's like, bruh, I can just rewind the sky. Watch this.
Want to see me do a flip?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I guess
but
be-
he's like,
They make the sky do a flip.
yeah,
Yeah. Well,
and
I guess
then
before this,
the other gods get mad.
because Conchu's all like, oh, the other gods are gonna get mad for me messing with the night sky because they be like that.
Yeah.
So they're gonna try
Because all the mortals are going to notice.
Yep.
They're probably gonna imprison me in like they did with Amit. So when they do that, could you come get me?
Before this, they had tried to tell on Harrow in front of the council of the Egyptian gods inside the Great Pyramid of Giza, but nobody believes
Since
him.
Ethan Hawke is a smooth talker, no one believed him.
So
Right.
now Conchu's on extra thin ice with these other gods. So
So turning back the sky is a little
the last straw. So they imprison him in stone.
yeah. And now Steven and Mark are without superpowers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
But they figured out the location of the tomb.
right. So Steven at this point is driving, and so him and Layla are headed or following the star map to the tomb where Amit's stone thing is.
Steven and Mark are having a bit of a disagreement, so he won't let Mark have control of the body.
Right, exactly. And also, Stephen's like starting to fall for Mark's wife, which is awkward. But they do some Indiana Jonesing through the tomb and stuff, right? There's a fight with a blue zombie man, in which they get separated.
They dig through
Stephen goes one way and finds the tomb of Alexander the Great, in which there is the
statue
of
Amit that she's been imprisoned in.
Whereas Layla gets chased by the blue dude some more, manages to beat him, but also talks to Harrow, and Harrow's like, "Hey, did your
Mark never told you what happened to your father."
He told me you killed him.
No, he did.
I am your father.
No, that's not how it goes.
They're even over a bottomless pit when this conversation happens.
Nobody lost an arm, though.
True.
Anyway, no, that's not how it goes. Turns out Mark was in the crew of mercenaries that had her dad killed when he was doing his Egyptian diggy thing.
And this is something he wouldn't tell Layla because he wanted to, hide that from her.
But that's also how they met, because he was trying to tell her, but then he's like, I don't want to. Also, she's pretty. So it got awkward.
Let's get married.
Anyway, so Stephen is very
Harrow
excited
shows up
after getting the Khonshu, the Amit statue.
Mm-hmm.
Layla shows up and is like, hey, look what I got. And he's just like, can I talk to Mark, because he did some stupid things.
Yep.
They get into a bit of a lover's spat, with the whole "you killed my father" thing.
It's like, no, I didn't. I was trying to stop the other guy from killing him, but he tried to kill me, and then Khonshu took over my body, and that's how I'm Moon Knight now.
Speaking of killing people, Harrow shows up and is like, hey, give me Ahmed, or I'll kill you. And he's like, how about no? And he's like, okay, well, I'll shoot you. And
since he has no Moon Knight power, he did.
He dies.
He did.
He did.
And Layla like, oh no.
So, smash cut.
He threw Pop-Tart at well.
Smash cut to Stephen in a mental hospital. He is in a psychiatric ward. His nurse is Layla, and his psychiatrist is Harrow, and
hair with a mustache and a lot less cool haircut.
He's watching a old adventure flick about Stephen Grant, the great Tomb Raider archaeologist guy, and so Mark is in this wheelchair, all kind of drugged up for his own safekeeping.
What even is real right now?
Right. And so he's like, Harrow's all like, so, can you tell me all about Stephen and open up about your past and be honest with me and yourself? And he's like, no, I gotta go do the Khonshu thing. It's like, yeah, but that's all a delusion. He's like, what?
You see, I'm a rationalist. The world is what my mind projects out onto it.
And Mark's like, no, this is screwed up. This is wrong. And then he breaks out of the doctor's office and breaks into a room and finds Stephen.
Like in an Egyptian sarcophagus.
And there's another sarcophagus and there's a guy in there screaming, but no, we're not going to talk about that.
Anyway, so now two Oscar Isaacs are running around the psychiatric ward, and they run into a hippo lady.
Hello.
And she's all like, "Hi, I'm the I don't forget her name, but she's like, I'm the goddess of like mothers and fertility, and also I'm here to guide you into the afterlife because guess what? You're dead. I'm going to take your hearts out and put them on a scale, and if they don't balance out by the time we get to the shore
you're getting thrown overboard.
You're getting thrown into the sand sea of lost souls. So
and
go sort yourself out.
Indifferentism about the afterlife mumbo jumbo later. Stephen
and Mark go through a walk down memory lane, quite literally, because this turns out the psychiatric ward is also kind of representative of like his mind palace, how he organizes his memories in his life. So we start from his earliest memories, where we have a young Mark Spector and his little brother playing outside, and it's all fun and games until your little brother drowns.
And your mother blames you,
which leads to years of both neglect and abuse, and
your mother becomes an alcoholic, and Mark, to get away from everything, goes and joins the army, and eventually his mom succumbs to her alcoholism and dies.
Yeah, and turns out over the course of the episode, Stephen discovers that he is not the original person who owned that body. In fact, he is a construction Mark's mind to shield him from the abuse he suffered at the hands of his mother. And
So he's
Stephen's
a
all like,
second personality that's manifested.
yes. Because Stephen Grant was that, fearless action hero he idolized in those old movies. So he wanted to be like him and created a way to live brave without trauma and fear.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, so we learn the sad backstory. And then they get to the edge, and she's like, "Oh, you haven't balanced yet." And then things happen. Stephen falls off the ship into the sand of the
Lost
Sea of Souls or whatever.
Yeah.
But then Mark's heart balances, so he goes into the peaceful field of reeds, and he's like, this is nice.
But
Except
not
for
without
the fact
Steven.
that, like, Ahmet's doing all the bad stuff, and Layla's out there, and Stephen, I kind of want to get him back. So they team up. They somehow break out of the underworld. Meanwhile, Layla...
With the power
is,
of friendship.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
With yourself.
So Layla is up top in the real, actual, alive world. She's getting instructions from the hippo goddess lady. She's like, hey, if you get Khonshu, we can heal Mark's body, and then he can come back to life by inhabiting his body.
Also, want to be my avatar? I'll make you look cool.
And she's like, no, not now. I don't want to be no avatar for nobody. I'm an independent woman. I don't need no hippo lady.
Yep. And Khonshu's like, when she frees him from the stone, he's like, you want to be my avatar? And she's like, bruh, no.
You've
You've
Mark.
been ruining Mark's life. Why would I want that?
And he's just kind of like, okay.
Okay,
Figures.
well, Mark's back. I'm gonna now I'm gonna go resurrect Moon Knight while while Ahmet is being released, and Ahmet, big crocodile lady, is all like, hey, thank you for letting me out. Now we can go enact my justice. And by the way, I've judged you, Mr. Harrow. Turns out you're not all that balanced, but that's fine by me because I need somebody a little unbalanced to do some vile things for me.
To screw some crap up.
So yeah, we get
The ends justify the means and all that.
and all that. So Mark and Stephen return to their body with some help from Khonshu. Ahmet powers up Harrow. And
They beat up the other Egyptian gods and get them out of the picture. And then Layla is convinced to become the avatar for the hippo lady.
Right, because she's talking with one of the avatars who got killed by Harrow and Ahmet when she was released. And the other avatar guy was like, you could, theoretically, bind Ahmet to a mortal form and then kill her from there. Instead of like binding her into stone, you could find a mortal form, bind her into that, kill her, boom. By the way, I'm dead, peace out. But you need avatars to do that. She's like, okay, hippo lady, I can be your avatar for a little bit. Also get some pretty cool, like, wing shield Wonder Woman type of armor. That's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, Layla and...
It's kind of like Falcon meets Wonder Woman.
Right, somewhere between there.
In Egypt.
On the one side of the battle, we've got Layla and Moon Knight tag teaming Harrow, and then we've got Kaiju, Khonshu, and Ahmet battle.
Yeah.
Kaiju, Khonshu.
Machu Picchu.
So they're having a battle over there, and eventually Moon Knight and Layla manage to subdue Harrow with enough fighting and teamwork between the three of them.
And they bind Harrow and Ahmet together through the power of friendship. And Moon's Knight and Mark's like, you know what? I'm better than killing this guy.
Khonshu's like, but my justice. What about my justice?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you can take your justice and shove it.
We made a deal that if I helped you defeat Harrow, then you'd release me. And
he's like, okay, Mark and Steven.
Sure,
I'll leave you alone. You're not Moon Knight anymore.
Audibly cross his hands behind his back, so to speak. Cross his fingers, rather.
In a way, yes. So that's kind of where their story ends. Also, we get more... This is cut between several flashes back into the psychiatric ward, where they're having a talk with psychiatrist Harrow.
And it's like, I'm not crazy, no you. And then Harrow is in a mental institution and gets brought into a limousine in which is sitting Khonshu and a guy who looks like Mark/Steven with
Like,
a
hello,
gun.
this is my friend Jake. I said I'd leave Mark and Steven alone, but they're a little more messed up than we thought. So here's Jake.
He's gonna kill you now.
He's gonna kill you now.
Jake from State Farm.
Like a good neighbor.
Stay far.
Make that movie.
And so he kills Harrow, and they drive away, and that's the end? Question mark.
Well, there might be a season 2 or something else.
Probably.
This seems like there might well be.
Yeah. So that's what happens in the show.
Season 2, Revenge of the Khonshu.
Mm-hmm. Khonshu 2, Electric Boogaloo. So what do we like? What are some cool things about Moon Knight?
I like the mystery it builds up.
Yes.
I like how it manages to keep you guessing.
It's very
and
well
kinda
paced.
questioning. It's well paced too, but like it manages to have
It's
shroud-
mostly well paced.
Yeah,
That episode 4 was a little dull.
but I like how
Fair
it
enough.
manages to shroud Stephen and Mark in this mystery, and you keep questioning, well, who's the original? What's real? Particularly when you go to the mental hospital and have our boat ride across the desert.
And there being hints of a third personality within them
Right. With
is
the,
hinted at here and there if you're paying
which
attention.
it was well built up to in that.
It
If
really
you know the
gets-
comics, you already knew there's a third personality.
Yeah.
But
But one thing I really liked about the show is it had the mystery, but also like just enough payoff to be satisfying at the end.
Yeah.
It's the first Marvel Disney Plus series, I think, that's really stuck the landing well in the final episode.
Yeah,
I
second-
like the way WandaVision ended personally.
Yeah,
That's-
I mean it was good.
And I do have, like, more just like a large question mark over the end of episode 5, beginning of episode 6.
Yeah,
But we'll talk about that a little bit later.
probably
I
in the
suppose.
truth segment, I suppose.
Yeah,
But overall,
I like that mystery element. I just think I like Egyptian stuff. That was
Yeah.
an obsession of mine as a child. You know, the mythology
fresh.
thing, starting with the Lightning Thief books and then the Kane Chronicles. The guy who wrote those wrote another series about Egyptian mythology.
they're running out of ancient mythologies to do Marvel versions of.
Well, they were all there in the comics too, though. But yeah, because the trailers for Thor: Love and Thunder show they're going to Mount Olympus with Zeus
Mm-hmm.
and Hercules and stuff. Because
Honey, you mean Hercules?
Exactly.
Marvel's Hercules was a member of the Avengers in the 90s. As
But anyway, in regards to Moon Knight, I think it overall was far better than I thought it was going to be. Like, I didn't know what to expect, but I was very pleasantly surprised with the quality of the writing and the overall, like the
acting,
the acting, the cinematography. Oscar Isaac did a very good job playing the multiple personalities. It was a solid performance.
Yeah.
He has probably the most convincing British accent I've heard an American actor do in a while. So
Yeah.
pretty cool. Even though it is faked even within the show. Interesting how they did that. But yeah.
I also like how self-contained it is.
Yes.
A lot
you don't
of,
have
like,
to know anything about
MCU
it.
stuff, particularly nowadays, and a lot of the Disney Plus shows, they kind of require that you know a little bit going into them, or they're best experienced with knowledge going into them.
Yeah, there's a lot of prerequisite knowledge you need to have for some of the
Particularly
other
when you
ones.
get to like, I think Hawkeye is kind of the worst offender in my opinion.
Yeah, Hawkeye's, well, I don't know, WandaVision and
WandaVision did have a bit.
and
You had to know
Falcon
one
and the
key
Winter
thing.
Soldier. What's that?
You had to know like one key thing for WandaVision, but yeah,
Bucky and the
like,
Winter Bucky was probably the most reliant on the canon.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But Moon Knight is just entirely standalone. This doesn't even have to have the MCU name on it. It could stand on its own as a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that it just exists in the Marvel universe is kind of fun.
Yep.
So I very much appreciate that. You can sit down and have this little isolated adventure. They should do that more. Marvel, you should do that more.
Yes, please do.
Stop trying to force crossovers and multiverses into everything. Okay, just have fun little adventures.
Yeah, because it's standalone has sort of receded very much into the background with Marvel projects of late. So this is a refreshing change of pace, where they found the balance between, because it's certainly set within the universe, but it's off to the side, something you don't need to have any prior knowledge of to be able to appreciate and enjoy. So it was refreshing in that regard.
Yeah, they'll probably start roping it in season 2 or later stuff because now they know what works and what doesn't work about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a little test run.
Yeah.
And I think this is like the first series about a character that was introduced on Disney Plus, right? Everything else is based on existing
like pre-existing,
characters.
yeah.
This is like the first completely original.
And I'd say of like the B-tier heroes, I suppose, Moon Knight is probably one of the more popular ones that they've tried to introduce.
He's fairly well known and also had like a very popular run in the
Cartoons.
early teens.
Yeah.
In the early 20-teens. Because that's where they introduced all this, all the psych ward stuff, all the personalities. Because previously...
Random BS go.
Right. Because previously in like the 90s and stuff, they'd actually... Jake and Mark and Steven were all separate people who became Moon Knight, but then later they retconned that into them all being
multiple personalities
of the same guy. So it's taking from a lot more recent stuff. Kind of, I feel like a lot more Marvel stuff is taking from mid to late 2000s, early 2010s stuff, because that's where Girl Hawkeye showed up too.
Oh yeah,
we'll talk about that eventually, maybe.
Perhaps.
But yeah. So that's there's a lot of cool stuff in this.
Yeah.
My one major complaint about the show is that there wasn't enough Moon Knight.
Yeah, it was the Steven and Jake.
It was
Mark
the Steven
show.
and Mark show, and Moon Knight was quite ancillary to that.
Yeah.
It's like for a solid half of the show's run, Moon Knight was completely neutralized, like not even a possibility. Because they trapped Khonshu and imprisoned him, and it wasn't on the table. So I was like not invested in that point. I'm like, this is just an Indiana Jones movie in a 45-minute show. I am totally not interested in this. I came for the neurodivergence and the exploration of that, and I didn't get it. And I also showed up for Moon Knight beating people up, and I didn't get that either.
Yeah, only sprinkled in. So perhaps if in a second season they may improve on that. That's kind of the similar beef I have with the Sam Raimi, like the second Sam Raimi movie for Spider-Man. Because he's not Spider-Man for 90% of the movie. So, I mean, as I'm older, I have a little more of appreciation for that. But
it's like, it's trying to say something about that.
Yeah, I think they could have, while they did a good job, I think, with the parts that didn't have Moon Knight in it, I would agree that seeing more Moon Knight would be cool.
Right.
I also felt like Layla was kind of unnecessary.
Yeah.
She didn't do a lot.
Aside from Free Khonshu in the final chapter, she was just kind of there.
Well, she was a reminder of Mark's guilt, I suppose. And also the only thing left he cares about.
There was a great payoff with that in the psych ward where they're digging into the memories to try to balance that out. So
maybe she'll have more to do in the future. We'll see.
Hopefully, now that she's an Avatar, she'll be more involved. But she was just kind of on a pedestal of interest for 95% of the thing.
And God forbid any sort of syndicated or serialized medium will have two main characters living a married relationship.
Yeah, I appreciate that much at least.
Yeah.
Although it does make it awkward when you introduce a third.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how is that? How are they going to reconcile that?
Any other things we wanted to discuss before we get into the analysis?
Nothing that doesn't slot into the other parts of the analysis, I don't think.
Cool. Well, I guess from there we'll get into truth. What are some truths we can learn through Moon Knight? For starters, I will note that it follows the Marvel formula of saying like, the gods of these different pantheons are simply powerful beings within the universe, not actual gods.
Right. They're just large interdimensional beings that wield power and have
Well,
meddled with
depends
humans.
on who you talk to about what the definition of an actual god is, but they certainly aren't being itself the simple god of natural theology.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they are more powerful beings, but they are still beings.
Mm-hmm. However, like, there's like afterlife and consciousness things that it tries to say, and there's like,
And I'm not sure what it's trying to say about it,
mm-hmm.
because
That's all
So-
like projection from Stephen's own mind.
a
Well,
little
yeah.
bit maybe.
yeah, it's like him trying to reconcile his own views, because it's not like Harrow's actually in there. You know, like that's his own projection. That's how he views things.
Well, no, but I mean in terms of like the
The balancing heart scene,
and like
still
the
confuses
passing into the Egyptian afterlife, and they mentioned, oh yeah, there's also the ancestral plane, which is a reference to like Black Panther, etc., which is implying like, oh yeah, there's all sorts of different altered consciousnesses after death that sort of is just trying to like all the religions are right.
Syncretism.
Mm-hmm. So beware of that.
Yeah, and I'm still not sure what they were trying to say with the heart balancing scene, because
Yeah,
here's the thing.
multiple personalities are not indeed other people.
Right. So it kind of waffled on treating Stephen like a separate soul or not, right?
Mhm.
Because if he was a separate soul, why was he being judged and balanced at the same time as Mark?
Yep, and if
And
there was a
why
third
is-
person in there, where
they're
was
kind
that
of
heart?
integrated into the person. I think it made sense to go that route. 'Cause it's like you sort of have, because Stephen is this other personality created effectively by Mark to repress his painful memories. It's like there is something very much cognitively distinct about Stephen, and the heart is, in ancient understandings, represents the whole person.
Mhm.
So like even though Stephen's not a separate person, like it's representing the fact that there's sort of two distinct selves
yeah,
Right. But then, if that's
that are
okay-
part of one person, which is why they're judged together.
it made sense from like a narrative, like illustration standpoint.
Right. But also they were missing one of the other hearts, so it was never going to balance properly anyway. And to that point, the fact that it balanced out when Stephen fell off, but then they didn't address Jake at all.
Yeah,
so-
that's the one hanging question. Like
And then
it didn't
he went
balance because Stephen fell off. It balanced because of Mark's acknowledgement of Stephen as integral to him.
Okay.
there. Okay, that's an interpretation I can work with.
It's like he's finally recognized that he cares about Stephen enough to not be cool with him being gone,
Mhm.
Okay.
showing that he's like accepting his painful memories as part of himself.
Because that was the thing that he's been essentially running from his whole life.
Right.
Running from the guilt of blaming himself for his brother drowning because he wanted to show him this cool thing. And being reinforced by his abusive mother and all that, who blamed him for her other son's death. So yeah, his whole life he's been running from it. And not long after his mother dies and he stands outside his mother's funeral, that's when Stephen takes over for an extended period of time, a couple days before the events of the show happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's see. Any other truths I guess we can talk about from Moon Knight?
Preemptive justice is not justice.
Yeah.
It's sort of the same debate from a different angle that Captain
It's
America:
like
the Winter Soldier
the
has.
free will thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But also, like, do we punish people and put a stop to them before they commit acts of wrongdoing, or do we, let justice take its course and address things once they have been done.
It's like, if you negate the point of free will, why do we have it?
Yeah, if Captain America: The Winter Soldier is like, well, do we stop terrorists before they commit acts of terror? That seems a little weird. Simply based off of suspicion and a like educated guess, and then here it's more of a spiritual judgment sort of a deal.
Right.
Judging the heart of a person.
You can take measures to prevent terrorists from doing things, but you can't just punish them for something you think they'll do.
Yep.
Right.
So it's an interesting parallel that this show has with that movie.
But it goes on a more cosmic scale with it.
Yeah.
As is natural with the whole Egyptian god theming.
Mm-hmm.
But even Khonshu's a little overly brutal and lacks mercy in his judgment.
Yeah, even if it is after the fact.
He's better, but he's not good.
Right.
I don't think either is shown in a positive light.
No,
right, because
they definitely show Khonshu as a vindictive, manipulative kind of master.
He's entrapped and enslaved
Mark.
He shanghaied him into the position. He was lying bleeding out on the floor in a Khonshu temple. He's like, "Hey, fella, you look like a guy that doesn't want to die.
Wanna protect travelers for me?
Do you swear fealty to me and protecting the travelers for the night?" It's like,
Sure.
The alternative is dying, so I guess.
Yep. And this whole
great.
time, Mark has had this. Khonshu's been threatening to make Layla his avatar, which Mark does not want because he loves her and doesn't want that to happen to her.
and also he has a very damaged person that he can twist and manipulate, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's got both Steven and Mark to play with, and then also Jake,
Mm-hmm.
who's like, "Hey, I didn't say I'd leave Jake. I've still got Oscar Isaac puppet."
Yep.
So Khonshu's not the good guy either. He's just the lesser of two evils.
Mm-hmm. What else is true?
And
Well, I
it's
suppose.
interesting how actually when Mark allies himself with Khonshu, the lesser of two evils, to defeat Ahmet, but then when they're done, it's like, okay, we're done. I'm not associating with you because I don't agree with you and don't like you.
And Khonshu's like, sure, yeah.
But you can work with people you don't like but you don't have to like or agree with them the whole time.
Yep. I suppose at that point we had earlier of Mark accepting his wounds and his past as part of him is also a true thing that we can take from it. Like, you need to be able to there are parts of our lives that are painful we need to be able to accept.
And he's
And
far
deal
from
with.
finished. It's a work in progress.
Yep.
He's still got to work out kinks with him and Steven, and also has to address Jake at all.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to end in one near-death experience, or literally actually death experience.
Yep. Any other truths we can talk about in Moon Knight? Goodness, then?
Dualism bad.
Yeah, dualism bad.
Only
Your mind is not a thing that projects reality. Your mind receives reality.
And processes it.
Don't be like Caro.
You can have issues processing it like Steven does, but
Inside you, there are two Oscar Isaacs. It depends
Which
on which one you feed.
do you feed him tea and crumpets, or
Do you feed it?
Do you feed him
random-
steak and beer?
Yeah. Goodness. What is good in Moon Knight? Steven's good. Overall.
he's just very pleasant and well-meaning, and also
Gentle.
everything that Mark isn't but would love to be, which is why he exists in the first place.
Mm-hmm. And I suppose Layla, even though she doesn't have a ton to do in the show,
She's at the very least faithful,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
which is refreshing in a live-action show for adults.
Yeah. What else?
I mean, there's not a lot of good people and good things going on in this show.
There are plenty of antagonists, I would say, not like
There's more antagonists than not.
yeah.
Right. But there's the few good people do weather the evils and weather it together and come out stronger because of it.
Mm-hmm. I suppose the metaphor of the scale of justice being a thing in the show is not just for a balanced heart, but like sort of that idea, like different views of justice. To like, do we preemptively, if you could prevent people from committing evil, should you do it, or should you just punish them vindictively after the fact? It's about finding the not indulging in either of those extremes.
Also, where Amit is like, "Oh, you're balanced, you're unbalanced, you're wrong." When they're on the ship, Hippo Lady's like, "Hey, we've got some time. You're not balanced yet. Can you go sort yourself out? Because you can sort yourself out and balance those."
What's that?
Purgatory.
Yep.
Yeah.
In a
like,
manner of speaking.
You don't have to be perfectly balanced. You just got to work on it, you know?
Yep. Any other bits of goodness in the show? All right. Beauty. What is beautiful about Moon Knight?
There is some fantastic camera work.
Yeah.
There are several points where there's just a wide sweeping pan where the thing goes upside down and then flips, or it'll pan into a reflection that pans up to Mark or Steven. Because there's a lot of like visual symbolism with reflections and the duality and such.
And
right?
like, the different angles to reinforce that sense of things being out of sorts and
the disorientation. And
yeah.
such. So
the effects are also very good. The Moon Knight suit looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very well produced show.
I love how both Mark and Steven have like the different Moon Knight costumes.
Mhm.
I also thought it was very fun how in the final like fight scene they're like switching between the two because the guy would grab Moon Knight's cape but then he'd stop having a cape.
Yep.
Stuff like that. It's like, oh, this is fun and creative.
Yeah. The
Like
effects
even the CG for the most part was
looks
like,
very good.
very good. Like
Very well produced.
it was very like not very often done. It was a lot of just people.
Yep.
But like the
It was
Moon
used
Knight
more or
suit
less
scenes,
sparingly.
Khonshu was like he had a cool design.
Yeah.
Like the bird skull and stuff. I mean, most of this is probably taken from the comics and actual mythology artistry anyway. But like, it's visually
And the Indiana Jonesy stuff was kind of fun, if a bit
Tedious and tropey.
and derivative, I suppose.
I also thought it was interesting how like you go to the psych ward and everything's like a dazzlingly bright white, but then you go to the sand ship and it's all like dark and stormy and stuff, right? Then the real world's filmed like the real world, but like you had this visual distinction between the various areas. Even when you're in like talking to a psychiatrist psych ward and versus like exploring the past memory psych ward, there was a visual difference to like give you some orientation to tell you where you are in their headspace. But like also
it's easy to follow like where the characters are and what they're doing, while still maintaining sort of that mystery and like
kind of head spinning disorientation toward the final act.
Yeah, it doesn't make it confusing or difficult to watch and keep track, which can be appreciated.
Particularly for something that gets as weird as this.
Also, the music choices are kind of fun.
The main Moon Knight theme is really cool and spooky. I kind of dig the main Moon Knight theme.
Yeah. And the overall aesthetic of the show is pretty fun.
Yeah.
Anything else or
Nope.
Unity? What brings everything together in Moon Knight?
Probably disunity, actually.
At war within one's members. Well, justice and what does it mean to be whole, I suppose?
I suppose.
Because which Oscar Isaac do you feed, and how did
You inside you there are two Oscar Isaacs?
yeah.
Is that a title?
I'm working on it in there somewhere. But I suppose there's sort of a symbolism of a Moon Knight where with the moon, the shadow of the moon, you have the light and the dark, but like it's one moon, but there are these different
I suppose.
aspects that like the moon isn't truly cut in half between the light side and the dark side. It's just parts are obscured and need to be brought to the light.
I suppose you could look at that, yeah. I mean, I don't think they
I mean, that's something
the
that
moon
just occurred to
itself
me.
is a theme in the show,
No.
but like you got the Egyptian god of the moon as a guy, and he's the moon knight, so I suppose you could talk about that.
Yeah, that's just sort of occurred to me. I guess any other unifying principles in the show?
Nah, it's the justice and the head stuff.
Accept the past and let it make you stronger.
Yeah.
Well, I guess without further ado, looks like we're about ready to wrap up here. So
About.
thanks for listening to the Palladium Papists. You can listen to us on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Leave a rating to let us know what you think of the show. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Pal Papists. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, or suggestions for future episodes, email us at palladiumpapists@gmail.com. And we will talk to you again next week. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.